This is my rolling tray. It's a DVD case with a page from an adult colouring book. Pretty cool. Let's get a little doobie doobie doob doob doob. Ah! Let's start the show. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Life of Lee podcast. This is episode 3. How y'all doing? Hope you're good. Just want to say really quickly, thank everyone for the support so far. It has been incredible. I've had people reaching out from all over, people saying they love it, people telling me to keep going, so that's exactly what I'm going to keep doing. Now, initially, the genesis behind this podcast was to talk about psychedelics, specifically my experiences with DMT, which started off regular as DMT can possibly be, and then it metamorphosized. Like, the turning point was I went camping for 2 days and I was meditating, I was fasting for like 72 hours, and I took DMT in the woods, and it turns out that I was camping in the middle of a yew tree circle. Now, I'm going to go into this in deeper detail, but like, do your own kind of research. Just Google it. Google the myths and legends behind yew trees. And I was inadvertently camping in a large circle of yew trees, and then a smaller circle of yew trees within that large circle. Like, my tent was strung between 2 yew trees, and then I had 3 DMT trips while I was there. 1 kind of normal, and then 2 which, like, yew trees are psychoactive and psychedelic within themselves, but there's crazy myths and legends surrounding them. So do your own research. I'll talk about it later. What I'm planning to do this episode is going to be my experiences with drugs in general. My first times, my last times, blah blah blah. The next episode will be detailing my experiences with DMT initially, up to the camping trip, and then the third episode, and probably many episodes after that, will be detailing my experiences with DMT since the camping trip, because my trips now mix not just the psychedelic, but the psychedelic with the metaphysical and the mystical. Like, that's the only way I can describe this stuff, and we'll get into that later. It's all coming up. But first, let's talk about drugs, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Now, first off, I'll state this right now. My favourite drug has got to be weed. Like, DMT it's an experience, but it's to be respected with the utmost respect. And I think that's where some people go wrong. You know, if you ever hear about people having bad trips, personally, I've never met anyone that's had a bad trip. I've met people that know people that know people that have had bad trips, but I've not met someone personally myself who has. If you've had a bad experience with any kind of drug, any kind of psychedelic, sound off in the comments below. I want to open as many discussions as possible and get as many viewpoints as possible, and maybe we can all come to some kind of consensus at the end of the day. But yeah, where was I? So, weed would be my favourite. It's my most consistently used drug. It's the one I've invested the most time in. Like, I was growing weed for 3 years on a pretty small industrial kind of scale. So yeah, it's definitely a big part of my life. And the first one thing I really want to get out here is the drug laws and the views on drugs in this country are complete and utter bullshit, especially regarding weed. Look at it around the world. I don't know if you've ever been to Amsterdam. I've been twice, but that city is incredible, and I do believe a lot of it's got to do with the relaxed view on both cannabis and psilocybin. More truffles, like mushrooms are banned now, but whatever. And just look at the States. Like, I don't know why I've never been to Colorado, but they seem to be leading the psychedelic charge right now. I believe they were the first state to legalize cannabis. They're legalizing psilocybin. There's other states that have legalized cannabis. They're legalizing all plant medicines, ayahuasca, DMT, Bofu, I don't know how to do. There's things that I've read, but I've never spoke about, so I don't know how to pronounce certain things. Anyway, so yeah, but in this country, like I live in Scotland in the UK, and smoking weed, illegal, can go to jail. But Theresa May, former Prime Minister of the country, her husband profits off one of the largest like medicinal cannabis growers in the world who are stationed in England. It's fine for them to grow it and make millions off it and change laws and legislation, you know what I'm trying to say, to suit themselves and to profit off it and to make sure that no one else can profit off it. Not just to make sure no one else can profit off it, but if you even try and do it, then the people that they're in command of will put you in jail while they're sitting back making millions off the exact same stuff. It's madness. Like, take for instance psilocybin mushrooms. Liberty cap mushrooms grow in the wild, especially in Scotland. We've got a good climate for it. In certain places, fields generally, certain types of fields, sheep fields. Like, do your own research. You've got Google. And what stuns me is if I was standing in a field with two fine police officers, and I picked up a blade of grass and ate it, cool. If there was a berry on the ground, I could pick that up, eat it right in front of them, cool. If there was a cow shit on the ground, I could pick that up, eat that. You know, they might look at me a bit strange, but cool. They might ask if everything's okay. But if there's a liberty cap growing in the ground and they know what it is and I know what it is and I go over and pick it up and eat that in front of them, I can be put in handcuffs and led away and put in a jail cell. Now, do you think that's fair? And to quote Graham Hancock, or misquote Graham Hancock probably, he was talking about the fact that psychedelics are illegal, a drug that is, well, sorry, drugs that are non-addictive. They generally don't kill people, and they have profound life-changing, trauma-reducing, anxiety-reducing, love-empowering effects. Like, to say that they're illegal is to say that you don't have dominion over your own consciousness. You know? Like, killing people is illegal. Fair play. You're ending someone else's life. You're causing great pain and suffering. Stealing from people is illegal. Cool. That's their shit. They earned that. Leave it to them. Don't take stuff. But to say that you're not allowed to take a natural mushroom which grows in abundance in the wilderness, eat that and have profound insight into your own being and consciousness and your place in the universe, not just the world, the universe, to say that that's illegal is to say that I do not have control over my own mind, not hurting anybody else, just sitting in my room. Like alcohol, do you not think it is? It's just, it's a joke. Like, it's Monday today. So many people would have walked into their office and their co-workers would have been like, oh, what did you get up at the weekend? Oh, dude, I got fucking wrecked. I was drinking vodka, then we went on to tequila, whiskey chasers, I ended up spewing. I couldn't walk, man. Me and the missus had a massive argument. She ended up taking the Waynes up to her ma's and staying there. She's turning the Waynes against us. You know, Sunday, I was meant to pick the wee man up, take him to fit, but I fucking missed it, man. I couldn't move. I was on the couch, I was fucking boss, bro. Oh, I'm never fucking drinking again. That's fine. Like, every weekend, and I know it's Scotland, like, Scotland's got a hard drinking culture. I used to drink early 20s, well, sorry, mid-teens to mid-20s. Like, I was clubbing, I was drinking fucking 3 litre bottles of cider down the park, like, all that shit. And in terms of clubbing, it got to the point where I realised this is just the same thing every weekend. All dressed up to go and get all sweaty and like dishevelled and get steaming and get wrecked and do shit that, oh, you wouldn't do, and you're just letting loose and all this kind of shit. Generally just bullshit, really. Like, you're not really progressing in any way, you're not really achieving anything. It's the same music, it's the same clubs, it's the same people, it's the same drink week after week after week. And then Sunday you pay for it with a massive fucking hangover. Like, Saturday night, I would rather go into Glasgow wearing sweats in a hoodie and go climb some buildings and watch the sunset and look at the skyline at night, smoke a little doobie, come back down. You know, I've been working out, climbing up and down buildings, it takes it out of you. I'm feeling good, come back in the train, watch a movie, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, feel great, you know, absolutely brilliant, and then go like a big hike down the woods, take in nature, put my hammock up, smoke some DMT, taking the day. You know, it just makes most, like, I don't get why it's emphasized so much to go out and damage yourself every weekend with alcohol. Like, alcohol is a mild poison at the end of the day, and in this culture it's just pushed on you to go out and get wrecked and destroyed. You know, it's not just going out and having a couple and having a good time, it's to go out and get fucking trolleyed, like, just, you know. And there's other ways, and a lot of times I'll talk to people about psychedelics, even just mushrooms, which I don't think are as scary as DMT. And that's the worst thing, when someone's sitting and smoking a joint and they start telling a story and it's just in their hand and you're sitting waiting for them to pass and you're watching where it's going and you want to say to them, can you pass it? Anyway, so a lot of times I'll talk to people about psychedelics, mushrooms, what have you, and they go, oh no, I wouldn't touch any of that stuff, you know, I'll just stick with the drink, thank you very much. And they've got this like condescending tone, and it's like, cool, you do you, but like, going by your social media posts and blah blah blah, you spend a lot of time complaining about things, and you know, you don't seem to be the happiest kind of person, and then every weekend you're talking about how you're going to go out and get smashed. And then the next day you're talking about how you're dying and, you know, you're never drinking again and why do I do this to myself and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, like, I'm generally pretty happy and I go out and do stuff, and, you know, I chase whimsies, to put it as Kevin Smith said. Go and watch the Kevin Smith and the Joe Rogan Experience, the first one. That guy is such a motivation for me. So yeah, it's so acceptable to go out and get destroyed with weed, to get destroyed with alcohol, but taking psychedelics to improve yourself and to get a greater understanding, that's looked down upon. And I believe it's propaganda throughout the ages. Like, just look at the films that were released in the 60s, and if you do talk about psychedelics now, you'll get people that will be like, oh, are you getting all trippy and, oh, seeing little green men? And a lot of time, like, yeah, that's pretty much bang on. But, you know, there's this dismissive attitude towards it, whereas I think it's life-changing, powerful stuff. Like, there is clinical studies, scientific studies getting done all over the world right now, proving the effects of psilocybin treating depression, MDMA treating PTSD, ketamine treating PTSD. Like, I'll quickly run through the drugs that I've done, just so to give anyone out there that's a drug aficionado, or anyone that's never done drugs, just interested, even anyone that's turned their nose down in drugs and has certain preconceived notions about drugs, and fair play. Like, smoking weed, that's better. A lot of people perceive weed and stoners as being lazy and, you know, unproductive and burnouts and what, you know the stereotypes. But I smoke a shitload of weed, a fucking shitload, and I still train parkour to an alright kind of level. I still work, I still make movies, I still do shit, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I am lazy, I am incredibly lazy, but I don't think the weed makes me lazy. I think I use the weed as an excuse to be lazy. Like, I've got this thing, if I smoke 2 joints, I can get anything done. Like, if I wake up in the morning, smoke a joint, you know, the wake and bake, check fucking social media or whatever, then plan my day, smoke another joint, and then go out and start doing stuff, I'll achieve great shit. But if I have 2 joints and I stall and I have another joint, then pretty much I'll be just spending the next few hours sitting smoking weed and watching fail videos on YouTube. And I know that, and sometimes I've got a lot of stuff to get done, but I'll have the 3rd joint anyway, and then later on I'll be like, oh yeah, I was going to get that stuff done, man, but I get 2 stones, you know what I mean? You know how it is. But again, that's just an excuse really to avoid the stuff that I should be doing, because I am lazy. But when I do get stuff done, I get stuff done, and the weed really helps that. If you use it as a tool to help you focus, to maybe quiet some chatter in your head and to just focus on the task at hand, then it works brilliantly. So I first smoked weed when I was 14, and if you watch my previous video, at this age I was going through a lot of emotional kind of stuff, feeling very isolated, feeling very withdrawn, very anxious, maybe suicidal by this point. I can't really pinpoint the genesis of when I decided to want to kill myself, but probably, I'll say probably. So I'd already been like drunk by this time, like, you know, like wine at Christmas, but also like down the woods, cider and alcohol pops kind of drunk. So I knew what that was, and like I liked the kind of escape it gave you, you know. That's why people drink so much. That's generally why we get alcoholics. People are looking for an escape, some more than others. And alcohol is a good way of doing that, because it just floods your system, and you know, that's all you're really focusing on from here on out. So I knew what alcohol was, I knew its power and all that kind of stuff, and it was all right. I didn't really just like the taste. Like, I like comfort, and I like things that I like, and I don't do things that I don't 100% enjoy. You know, like a lot of people, they seem to put themselves through things because they think they have to, be it through tradition or like fucking culture or whatever. But I just, like, instead of having a nice cold beer, I'd rather have a nice cold Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? Like, I like that sugary taste. I don't like the wheaty kind of taste. And drinking, like, I cannot drink vodka anymore. I drank a bottle of vodka when I was in high school and spewed everywhere, and just smelling it now, like, it instantly, can't do it. Whiskey now and again, if it's like an occasion. I do like Southern Comfort. I can drink a bottle of Southern Comfort whenever. But yeah, so I knew what drink was back then. But the first time I smoked weed, it was as if up to this point, well, not up to this point, like there was a time where I was just a happy, normal kid, and then shit happened, and that affected me. And from that point on, it was as if in my mind, like, the inner Lee was cowering at the back of my mind and holding all these thoughts to himself, because he thought, you know, he was scared, you know, that was it. And when I smoked weed, it was as if he floated out to the front of my mind, and he was engaged, and he was present in the moment, and he was, you know, everything was funny, he was laughing, he was giggling. And then I kind of thought to myself, cool, I like this. This is working for me, so I just need to be high every day from here on out, and things should be good. Now, when you're 14 years old and you basically decide to pick up a drug habit, you incur some problems, you know, like you're not really earning some money, and drugs cost money, so you end up getting into some sketchy situations. And like, this is just an overview. There's years worth of stories to get into, and there's probably going to be episodes upon episodes of this podcast, so we'll break it all down, but this is just an overview. So I started smoking weed, and then the guys that I was hanging around with, we ended up doing ecstasy like a year later. Maybe I was 15. In fact, the day I first done ecstasy was the day that the spaceship crashed. I can't remember what one it was, the last like space disaster in America where there was crew on board and they died. I'll Google it and put it in here if I remember, or you can Google it yourself. Yeah, that was the first time I'd done ecstasy. And that started like kind of a couple of year binge of taking ecstasy. I might break down each drug into an episode, but yeah, so done ecstasy, that's okay. It's a party drug, makes you feel good, dumps all your serotonin, dopamine, whatever it is, but you've got to come down the next day because you've burnt out all your happy juice and you need to produce more. And when you don't have no happy juice, it's hard to be happy. And when I stopped taking ecstasy, 2 of my friends one weekend had chipped in on 100 pills, and between the Friday night and the Sunday, they were all gone. And so I estimate I've took between 15 and 20 over a 72-hour period, and the come down after that, I shit you not, lasted 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. And like, in terms of ecstasy, like, there is stories, not just stories, factual people have died after taking one pill, and taking that many, like, it wasn't, I knew the risks, but you know, I was in a bad place back then, so it wasn't as if I was setting out to OD at all. But if it happened, it happened. Like, that was kind of my attitude. So I was open to pushing it a little bit. So yeah, Ecstasy came, Coke pretty much followed straight after that. And this sounds kind of nonchalant, but the area I grew up in, this is just what people done. And if you weren't doing this, you were getting singled out. And if you were singled out, then you were fucking really singled out. Do you know what I mean? So it was just being led by the crowd, really, and the wrong crowd. Coke, like, it's all right, you know. And I never really bought Coke. It was always just, you want a line, aye. Oh, you want another line? Like, it's a funny thing with Coke. Like, Coke is obviously highly addictive, but when people have got Coke and like they're at the party, they want to give everybody Coke, and then the Coke runs out, and then, you know, that's when the conversations start. Like, here, I've got a guy that will use like 3 for 100. Right, I've got a tenner. Right, I can get this. Right, I can get this. Right, where does he live? Oh, he lives in Glasgow. Fuck, does he drive? No. Right. How about we go and get a taxi to pick it up and bring it to us? No, that's dodgy, man. Right, what if we go in a taxi and we go and pick it up and we'll chip in and we'll get a taxi and we'll chip in for the Coke and we'll go and get it? This is like 3 in the morning. Right, that's a great idea. No, 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 no. We'll get 2 taxis. It might look suspicious if we both go in the one taxi. Aye, you're right. We'll get 2 taxis. Let's go. And that's how, like, it turns people into savages. It really does. And it's just, the buzz you get off it is, for me personally, it's the exact same buzz I get if I do a backflip or if I do a jump that I've not done before. And, you know, I don't end up with like 8, 9, 1,200 pound tick bills for doing backflips. You know, I'm not chasing motherfuckers down at 4 a.m. trying to get another gram to get that feeling again. Like, I can just go training, and because it's the confidence it gives you. It's, you could call it adrenaline, but it's this sense of you can take on the world, and, you know, and you're just in that moment, and you feel in control of yourself to the point where, you know, you're out of control. And I get that exact same buzz, but without the out of controlness. So, and what really turned it around, like, I'd been taking Coke now and again for a couple of years. I never had a habit compared to anybody else that I know that went through the cocaine ghost train, and a lot of them are still fucking on it now and have not changed a bit in the last 10 years. But what turned it around for me was, I was dating a girl in London, and I'd went down and we were at like kind of a house party. There was some Coke. Someone said, "Oh, do you want a line?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I sniffed it. I was like, "Whoa! All right, cool." I don't know what I've been sniffing for the last couple of years back in Scotland, but it must be so far cut down that I don't know. But this seems like the real deal right now, because this is a different animal. You know what I mean? This is party time. And I kind of thought to myself, like, you know, if the stuff we're sniffing back there is just horse shit, which it clearly is, and like this is what it should be, and this isn't what I'm getting back there, then I'm just not going to do it. Like, I do have a very, very addictive personality. Like, energy drinks, these motherfuckers, if these kill me, then it makes sense. Like, I'm addicted to them, and if I'd got addicted to Coke the way I get addicted to, say, weed, and when I say addicted to weed, it's not that weed is addictive, it's a mental addiction, and it's just a crutch. And, you know, I don't want to say anything bad about weed whatsoever, but I will say I do have a self-imposed mental dependency on it. But yeah, I'm glad that I was always just take it or leave it with Coke. And one thing I used to love to do is, if I was sitting at a party and, you know, someone was like a big Coke head, and they'd be, "Oh, you want a line?" "Yeah, no, I sniff it." And they'd be sitting like, "You want another one?" I'd be like, "Nah, I'm alright." And they'd be like, "What? There's some there. You can have one. Crack on, mate." Like, and I'd be like, "No, I'm cool, man." And they'd be like, they couldn't just, because, you know, they want to sniff more. They want another one and another one and another one and another one. They want to keep this fucking cocaine ghost train going. They've got a pile of the devil's dandruff and they want it all. But yeah, Coke's always just been a take it or leave it with me. Took a bunch of Valium twice. First time, there was a guy started dealing, and I'd went to pick up 30 pills. Didn't really know fuck all about him. Like, this is all pre-internet up to this point, really. But my mate, he thought he was picking them up because we were going to like split them and have 15 each. So I went up and picked up 30. Unbeknown to me, he'd already been up and picked up 30. So we met back at his house and we had 60 Valium pills in front of us. Didn't really know what to do with them. So we grabbed a couple, nothing really happened. Like, fuck it, we'll sniff some. That will get it into the old bloodstream quicker. Started sniffing Valium, we put some in joints, we fucking grabbed some more. We were eating them like Skittles. And I don't know what happened for 4 days after that. I've been told stories. I appeared like, I was living in Coltness at the time. I appeared in Yemaines, I appeared in Wishaw Hill, like all over the place. There was people throughout the coming weeks and months that would be like, oh, Lee, I've not seen you since that day you were on Blues and you were sitting on top of that phone box, or fucking, you know, it was, and I don't like that. I don't like not being able to remember what the fuck I done. Like, especially now, my approach to drugs is very, not academic, but analysing the experience from my point of view to see its effects on my consciousness, my being, my soul, everything. It's not just to get on it and to get wrecked and out my face. It's more of analytical venture. So done Valium, done it another time and the same kind of thing happened. I thought, yeah, that's not for me. Done speed twice. I sniffed a line at once fucking years ago. And then the second time I'd done it was actually on a film set. And I won't say what one, but it was night shoots and we'd been doing them for like 2 weeks and it was getting fucking crazy. And someone offered me some speed and I thought, you know, it's speed. Like, it's all in the name, really. I'll just take it and see what kind of speedy effects it has. And I did not like it. It's just so, it's such a chemical feeling. Like, the way I describe it, it's a crunchy feeling. Like, weed's quite a smooth kind of high, but that was like a crunchy. So yeah, I didn't like that. I did do MDMA, like pure MDMA, a rock of it last year. A friend of mine had it for a while and he wasn't going to take it, so he says, do you want some? Yeah, sure. And I took that, and the only thing I can describe from that is I was fucked up. Like, that was it. Like, when I used to take ecstasy back in the day, you know, I could say like, oh, I had this feeling of love and empathy and connection with the music, and, you know, I was all that kind of shit. But taking pure MDMA, I don't know how much I took. It was a rock. I took half of it, and then like 45 minutes later, I took another half. And I was just fucked up. Like, I was just fucked up. So yeah, that was my experience with MDMA. Then I got into mushrooms, and what kind of led me into mushrooms was Terence McKenna. If you don't know who he is, go and check him out on YouTube. He's kind of like the grandfather of, not the, one of the grandfathers of psychedelics. He gives great talks, and psychedelics is, the way he speaks and just how he presents things to people is really engaging. And he was a very influential person, a very wise guy, and his experiments with mushrooms and hearing about them and their effects led me towards him, and I had some real great times. I'm nearly running out of time here, so like, I'd love to go, I'll do an episode later on mushrooms, because I followed McKenna's path. Like, originally I'd done 2 dry grams just to, you know, dip my toe in. I also done acid twice, like 8 years ago, 2 weekends after another, and it was great. It's the only time in my life I thought I was genuinely going to die laughing, and all I could think was, if this is how I go, I am so cool with that. Like, dying laughing in that moment, it would have just been, it would have been absolutely beautiful. It hurt like a fucking, it hurt so much, but it was so funny. And acid's definitely something that I'm going to do again, coming up, just because I've got a new appreciation of psychedelics and their effects, but also a new way of looking at them in general. So yeah, mushrooms, I've had some really powerful effects on mushrooms. If you do suffer from any kind of depression, any kind of anxiety, any self-doubt, any just feeling of disassociation from society, anything like that, any feeling of disconnection, I would highly recommend mushrooms. And this is the problem. There is some people it will affect badly in certain situations. And if they were legal, the way it's becoming illegal in certain places in America, like Portugal, legalized all drugs and all crime rates dropped, addiction rates dropped, overdose rates dropped, everything dropped. Like, our approach to the war on drugs in this country is fucking bizarre. The money we could produce alone would be ridiculous. But yeah, I would recommend mushrooms. Try and find someone who's done it before and have it as more of a guided kind of experience, as comfortable as possible, with people that you trust and in an environment that you feel comfortable in, and you might have some profound effects out of it, the way I did, the way I'm able to now sit here and talk to you guys as openly as possible, when before I was so nervous and shy and withdrawn and unconfident, and you know, like, this would have terrified me and I would never have done it. It really was psychedelics that opened up the door for confidence to enable me to sit here in front of you today and deliver this story. So that's me up to this point. I'm just hitting the half-hour mark again. So yeah, tune in next episode. I'll start going into the DMT, and then the episode after that we'll get into the real DMT stories. So once again, thanks for stopping by, thanks for your support, and I'll catch you in the next one.